Welcome to Smart Route, the podcast by Call Tracking Metrics, where you'll hear stories from businesses at the intersection of marketing, customer experience, and sales. We're sitting down with business leaders and industry experts to dive deep into the path they took to find success. Here's your host, Andrew Clark.
Hey everyone, this is Andrew Clark with Smart Route Podcast, back with another episode. And today I am joined by an overseas guest based in the Netherlands. Her name is Alexandra Tachalova. She is the founder and, am I remembering correctly, current CEO of Digital Olympus, which is a digital PR and backlink building firm. And we're going to get it more into what that involves. That's going to be the focus of today's episode. But I want to thank Alexandra for joining us. We had some scheduling conflicts just because of the time zone difference, but I'm so thankful we made this work. I think it's going to be a great conversation and a very relevant one to what's going on in the world of digital marketing and just kind of the wider marketing world with AI, digital PR having a new pop again. But I'll turn it over to Alexandra. If you could just briefly introduce yourself and share a little bit of your backstory with our audience.
Hello, everyone. Today we have a very beautiful day here. I'm based in Eindhoven, which is 1 hour drive from Amsterdam, right? So I'm not in Amsterdam because whenever you tell anyone, right, Holland or the Netherlands, everyone thinks about Amsterdam, right? There are some other nice cities, right, in the Netherlands where you can live, and I'm quite close to Belgium, right? So to be precise, 30 minutes drive, right? And so, yeah, talking about me, my digital marketing career. First of all, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure now being here today. And I think I've been working in digital marketing for almost 20 years. And that's quite a lot, right? I've seen a lot, yes. I've tried a lot. And yeah, now for the last 10 years, a bit more maybe, I'm running my own agency, right? So we used to do more like link building, like traditional one. Now we are more on the side of digital PR. And yeah, I'm very excited to talk about that and anything beyond, including for sure our favorite buzzword, AI.
Yes.
And to be very honest, the right way of telling about this, in my opinion, the correct term will be LLM models for sure. But we all love this fancy word, so I understand. We will be also using AI.
For sure. And can we just go a little more into how you got started in digital marketing? What were you studying in university that maybe led to a career? So yeah, over to you.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to skip a little bit here and there, right? Not to make it too long, right? And I will just jump straight to SEMrush, right? Because that was my first, let's say, my marketing job, right? Mm-hmm. But to be completely honest and transparent, SEMrush hired me not for a marketing position initially, right?
Oh, wow.
They hired me to actually integrate Salesforce into their business processes. They still live with that because whenever you take something like Salesforce into your life, into your business life, you can't really get rid of this, right? So it's like, it's just really a statement. It's a long-term commitment. It's very hard to kind of stop using, right, that, that enterprise level things. And so, yeah, so I was hired for this, and then eventually, right, I got an offer to do something on the marketing side. And so then, after some time, after I've been working at SEMrush for 6 years or 7 years, something like that. I think, not going to lie about this. Most probably, my LinkedIn will be will be a social proof of what I'm talking about. So you guys can always go and check. I had the most up-to-date information there, but I think it was around 6 years. And then I just wanted to try something on my own, right? I hadn't planned anything big. I just wanted to try something, and I ended up with having Digital Olympus, and yeah, and that is very much it. And kind of, right, we used to be a link building agency for almost a decade. Now we are a digital PR agency, which is a bit different, but quite close, like still. And by the way, I have a degree in traditional PR, so it's quite funny. So, you know,
Very
it's a
cool.
literally closing the loop. And by the way, about closing the loop, also I'll be speaking at the SEMrush event here in Amsterdam in October. So I also feel like, you know, I'm closing my career loops and
Yes.
maybe sometimes, you know, getting an extra trauma
Yeah,
because
for
you start
sure.
thinking about all the things that has happened with you, right? Have happened to you throughout all your career journey.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I'm thinking back, you know, when you were working at SEMrush and then decided to start Digital Olympus, you know, describe a little bit because some of our listeners are on the younger side and might not remember a time where SEO and even PPC were kind of in a different space prior to AI really being part of it. What was it like working at something as big as SEMrush at the time? Because they hadn't been acquired yet, and
Oh,
they
oh,
were
I
still on
joined the
there.
team when they had 10
Oh,
people.
they wouldn't. Okay, wow,
I was like, you know, the first of the first. So the team
very
was
cool.
like, you know, doing everything literally, right? Whenever there is a funny picture when, you know, I don't remember who did that meme, but, you know, there is a, I think Rihanna staying on the stage and then it's like, let me ask my team about something. And then, you know, there the team, which is actually you also. That was exactly me asking my team, right? Let me ask my team. And the team was like, you.
It's just yourself, yeah,
Yeah, it's
for
just
sure.
yourself.
Very cool. And yeah, I mean, what was kind of when you were working there? You were heading up an entire region, so that must have been quite like cool to do, but also nerve wracking at times too. Um, you know, what were you working on more specifically? I know you mentioned you help with Salesforce being integrated, but you know, for practitioners in the field, what were you handling?
Yeah, okay. So I guess we can skip the part about Salesforce because we are not on the on the right podcast, right? So let's talk about
Right, yeah.
marketing. And I was mostly doing right a combination of influencer marketing and lead generation, I think. So we were, I was actively leading the team that was like, we were doing like a bit of event marketing, right? Then webinars, so online, offline events, let's say then. As I recall, we used to do some content marketing, right? Mostly
Mhm.
like technical one. And I think there was way more, but I don't remember what exactly. But I guess also like any kind of, let's say, like more like integrated marketing campaigns when
Mhm.
you kind of start something offline and then you go then online or other way around. Oh, by the way, email marketing, right? I also, besides Salesforce, I also brought to them Marketo.
Oh wow.
So I
So
did, you know,
hot.
I kind of my husband, he always makes jokes about, you know, my past achievements. It's like, he's like, do you plan to write another, because in Salesforce you can write some scripts and they have
Mhm.
the special language, it's called Apex, and he's like, do you plan to run, and they call the scripts triggers, do you plan to write another trigger? I was like, no, I'm too much traumatized by my previous experience. I can't really do that one more time.
Oh no. So, you know, you're working at SEMrush, you're doing all this. I mean, wearing multiple hats, as many marketers do. At what point did you decide, okay, I'm ready to start something on my own? Was there a definitive moment or was it kind of a slow build?
Good question. I think you grow, right? And you feel that, you know, at some point, and it's not really like, you know, you don't like the company, you don't like the people, you don't like the vibe, right? You just feel
Mhm.
that you're a little bit, you're no longer a good fit, right?
Mm.
And, you know, I really loved, you know, my job at Semrush. And that was a little bit of a, you know, breaking point. Whenever you have, you know, a partner, it's like, you know, similar to relationship. You might have a very good partner, right? That you really genuinely interested in and you have good relationship, but, you know, you feel that you're no longer, you know, such a good team or such, you know, your relationship not as good as they used to be, right? Not that
Mhm.
romantic, you know what I mean, right? You're not that excited because, you know, it's also, you know, very hard to keep the same level of interest, the same level of excitement throughout the whole relationship. And sometimes you also, you know, you have some breaking moments, right? When you need to
Sure.
decide what do you want to do at the end of the day? Do you want to continue, or do you want to end this and start
Hmm.
something new? So I
Right.
would say it's more was like a combined decision. And
Hmm.
I just kind of, right, I felt that, okay, I don't really want to do what they suggest to me. And I think there was a more like a small conflict of interest what there as well. I wanted to be like a VP of marketing, something like that. And
Hmm.
at that point, my manager was actually the founder of the company, and the CEO, like, he's no longer also holding the position of CEO. I think he resigned some time ago. But at that time, and he didn't really want me to promote to this position.
Hmm.
So we were like a little bit, right? My wishes were like that, his wishes were like that. So we were
Sure.
kind of, and that was a little bit of a dilemma, right? And you can
Hmm.
decide, do you want to continue trying, right? And, kind of trying to prove, right, to the company, to the business owner that you are good enough to be
Hmm.
promoted, or you want to do something on your own. And I felt I've been trying quite a lot, and I thought, okay, maybe it's better to move on.
Yeah. No, I can empathize a lot. I've been in similar situations. And yeah, like you said, you have to make a decision for yourself. Is this something I'm willing to ride out and try to make work, or am I going to just take that leap of faith and start something on my own?
Or maybe
So I
changing,
think,
the job, it's
or
also
change.
okay, because,
Oh, for sure.
always any change, right? It's not necessarily you need to go and start, working on your own, which is not a
Hmm.
piece of cake, to be honest.
Nope.
But like, if someone could really be honest, but a lot of people, to be honest, were telling me this, but who wanted to listen to them, especially whenever you open your LinkedIn, everything looks, so sweet there, right? Like
Hmm.
a sweet
For
spot,
sure.
people are talking about running an agency and, being so happy, posting, photos of their, success, growing their revenue and blah, blah, blah. But in reality, it's not like that, right? It's all only on Instagram and LinkedIn like that.
Well,
Reality is a bit
100%.
different.
Yes, and I think that's a perfect way to transition to what you're doing now with Digital Olympus. I mean, you mentioned that you started out really focused on kind of the traditional backlink building, uh, let's say extended to the more broad term of offline SEO, which I love hearing people talk about. That's more my passion as well. I enjoy the challenge of it. I think SEO is infinitely more challenging than PPC. Sorry, everybody, but it's my hot take. Um, but when over the years you're doing that, you're building up a team. I've come to interact a little bit with your team on a personal level through your Slack community that we'll make sure to link out to it and how people can find out more, because it's been great getting to interact, especially with a very global set of SEOs. Has been awesome. I feel like I'm learning a lot. And I'm curious, you mentioned you have a background in PR as well. When you were starting to evolve the company of Digital Olympus, was there a moment or just kind of something that popped into your mind of like, now I want to go more into digital PR? Like, what was kind of in your thinking to go that direction?
Ironically enough, when I used to work at SEMrush, we tried digital PR.
Hmm.
And at that time, you have to remember that we were a tiny, they were, right, a tiny startup. And, we were, doing things on a very limited budget. And I think the budget of this PR campaign was around $20,000. And I think it's quite a lot, right? It's just a good
Sounds
chunk
like a
of the
lot.
marketing budget of a small company, let's say, right?
Hmm.
And um, we hired a fancy digital PR firm. And what they did, they acquired one paid link on Search Engine Journal.
That's it.
Well, and a few very lame ones that I don't really want to mention because, even Google doesn't know about these links. Most
Hmm.
probably never seen this website, right? Never crawled. Uh, so right after this, and I had For sure, right? We spent this budget, we delivered zero results. I had a very hot, challenging conversation, right, with the founder. I had to explain this, why we failed. And there was quite a momentum, right? When I
Mhm.
give myself, or a kind of, right, what was my biggest lesson from this? Digital PR doesn't work. It's just the biggest rubbish, the biggest rabbit hole you ever seen in my life, because that was
Mhm.
really like a failure, the biggest failure of my life, really. And having this in mind, right now I'm doing digital PR. That's so
Right.
funny.
Yeah.
That is so ironical, right?
Yep. Yeah. It's a complete 180 from where you were.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
Well, but the basically the mindset, my mindset, right, has changed a lot. And
mhm.
I think nowadays, right, for sure link building is still important,
Mhm.
but with all the uncertainty that AI brings, right, to the search marketing world, um, I don't really think link building can be or can be classified as valuable asset as it has been for a while.
Mhm.
Just because I think um, a lot of businesses, right, they've come to a conclusion that SEO channel on a general note is no longer having. I mean, like SEO was always a long term. Was always a long term asset, right? So you invest for
Sure.
the future, right? But now AI or LLM models, whatever you want to name them, they stall this, this value, right?
Mhm.
And now SEO is more like an asset that you can invest, but you don't really know, right, whether it's going to work out or not, because you don't really understand um, as clear. And I most probably you might understand something, but there is no clear gratification, right, of this
Sure.
channel that you can get at the end, right? So I think that is something that was kind of taken out, right? And as a
Mhm.
result, this show channel is no longer such a good investment for any company. And link building is just, an extra activity that you have under SEO, right? Under this
Mhm.
umbrella.
Yep.
And for me, right, um, as a business owner, I would say, right, not as a link builder or as an off-page SEO specialist, for me, it was really quite hard to sell link building, right, and also to continue, right, promoting link building, knowing all these, right, obstacles, I would say, right.
Sure.
And I wanted to have something that I also truly believe in, I feel safe
Mhm.
about, and I can say this is going to be a very solid, foundation, a very solid base for any business, right? And you can invest there and you can see the results, and the result, they are coming in different ways, right?
Right.
And it's just beneficial for your business, and you can get instant gratification from this, right? Because you see your brand on the best media outlets, and that's what we do,
Mhm.
right? That's very nice. I would say any business owner wants to see, if we talk about the B2B, most probably business on Forbes or something like that makes you feel good, right? So
Yeah.
bring in positive emotions, and on top of that, one more time, for LLM models, it's very important, right? So your brand
Mhm.
gets extra points for being featured on authoritative websites. So that
Right.
is very
But
much why I think digital PR is a better way, right, of delivering clean building nowadays.
mhm.
Just because it more aligns with the current reality that we have.
For sure. And, I'd love to tease out some of the things you were talking about of, you're on the front lines, your team is out there working with customers. What are some of the, common, uh, like opposition points that your clients are bringing to you saying, oh, I don't know about digital PR because I mean, you spoke to some of them yourself from working at SEMrush, probably being burnt by other agencies. But, what are the things that you're hearing from people, other businesses who are looking at digital PR? Are they skeptical? Are they right on board and say, yep, I see the value of it? Yeah, I'd love to hear more.
Yeah, well, all very different, right?
Of course.
Um, yeah, obviously, right? Because we've met, well, personally, I've met some clients that are very skeptical about digital because they used to work with agencies that were promising them something that never happened, and were basically telling you, look, you will get, right, we will feature you on USA Today, on that type of New York Times and so on BBC, you name them, right? And
Mhm.
this never happened. And I think the problem there that it's very hard to deliver. It's really like shit tons of work.
Yep.
And well, first of all, not all businesses, they are qualified for that for different reasons, right? And by the way, the B2B vertical is not really a good fit for, for digital PR that we kind of think, right? When we think about digital, first of all, we think about USA Today, you know what I mean, right? So the best of
Hmm.
the best, and that is not going to work out. Well, for sure, you can try to create some specific campaign that will be addressing direct to consumer topics, but on a general note, journalists are not interested in this. Even though a lot of business owners, they think that their feature is critical, but it's critical for, less than 1% of the audience that might be reading USA Today, right? Very critical,
Hmm.
definitely. And you have to be realistic, you have to be understand where you are standing for, right, your position, your business, and whether you really what you can bring, right, to a journalist is really like something that goes in line with their interests.
Hmm.
um, okay, so that is the first thing, right? So clients, they are just skeptical because they've never actually seen good PR while they paid for it, right?
Hmm.
The other thing is more about, right, clients, that they are not really skeptical. I would say they are not realistic, right,
Okay.
about their business and digital PR. And then whenever you explain this, right, they become skeptical because they think that you are another scammer or you don't really understand digital PR or whatever it is, right? So
Hmm.
you come to skepticism after actually educating them.
Sure.
And that is also a quite common scenario. And finally, I think what else we've faced so far. And I think also some people, they don't really understand what kind of deliverables you can expect from digital PR because,
Hmm.
especially if we talk about people that are more on the side of off-page SEO, they want to links, right? And they want to
Of
do
course.
follow links, and they don't really understand that, okay, if you get a brand mention on BBC, right, you shouldn't be complaining about that.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, but they think that it's not valuable. But I would kind of,
Mhm.
I wanna just tell something about LLM models and
Yeah,
AI.
go for it.
Um, that I'm not agree with them just because based what I see in AI summarized result that we see, right, um, in Google, right, whenever we search for something, or based on the result that we see across various AI agents.
Hmm.
I think brand mentions, they play or they kind of as valuable as links just because AI model, they don't really look at whether it's a link or not. So the
Right.
coverage, the density of kind of, or how well your brand is distributed across various sources, not only, right, top tier media over the, right,
Mhm.
there are different levels, layers, right, and you need to be
Sure.
literally everywhere, but brand mentions are very much counted. So that is more like about AI and the current state of search, I would say, right?
Hmm.
Because I don't really have much to tell about this, to be completely honest, because we don't really do SEO, right? So we do
Sure.
just a small part of this.
For sure.
But what I see, right, my observations, and just kind of what I've heard from other SEOs, right, and people that I trust, right, in the SEO space that I've been knowing for ages, they also confirm this, right? They are quite agree with me that it's just working a bit differently, and that's where brand mentions, right? They come finally, by the way,
Right.
and they start to be as valuable as links.
Absolutely, and I can attest to that firsthand. I often experiment with LLMs myself just to type in for things, relevant queries, see how we rank, all that. Um, and yeah, like you're saying, I'm seeing a correlation between those brand mentions getting known. I mean, to me, I feel like we're returning to basics of marketing in many ways. Things of these like big investments in a brand, they don't always have to be big monetarily, but I think what you're talking about, the impact and being hyper targeted and relevant to, say, the media that you're pitching is essential.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think that's
true.
where, like, an agency like Digital Olympus really can flex its expertise and say, look, we're going to be your partner in this, but understand we're going to push back a little bit and make sure you're going in the right direction, not just kind of taking a scatter shot that doesn't line up with actual expectations and deliverables. Um, and from what I've seen of the Slack community, your team's been sharing some great lessons learned from. You mentioned the BBC, and one of the clients got a mention there. Um, I
Well,
mean,
it goes with the link, but no follow.
right? Hey,
Well,
but
that is
still,
not that bad, but I think I don't remember on which one that was something else also very big, but they didn't even add, a link. But one more time, our clients, they understand the value of brand mentions.
mhm,
And, it's also our goal to have only the right clients, right? The ones that are not
sure,
really blocking our processes, not creating drama out of the blue. Because, one more time, in order to deliver something meaningful, high quality, right, you need to have the right clients too, because otherwise you always will be, you know, a little bit in a weak situation when you will be trying to please everyone and not really getting, the result that you can actually get, because you will be spending, right, a lot of time and effort on pleasing them rather than
for sure.
doing the actual work.
Absolutely. And, as we're, approaching the top of the episode, something that I like to leave, like I mentioned, we engage with audiences that are just starting out their careers in marketing, and would love to hear a couple pieces of advice from you as a veteran marketer, PR professional for people starting out in this field. What would you do differently? What would you do more of? If you were, say back in your just fresh out of university.
I think that is not the best time, in my opinion, to enter marketing. I mean, like, digital marketing, because there are so many uncertainty there, and there
Mhm,
are so many, especially when it comes to search marketing. For sure, there are more, like, more areas, right, more straightforward areas, I would say, like PPC, for instance, where things
mhm,
will continue evolving and thriving, obviously, right? Because if you run PPC campaigns and that is the main revenue stream, right, that Google, well, of Google, right, that obviously they are going to continue thriving, right?
yep.
But then, well, I think I wouldn't really go with something related to content,
Mm,
because I think it's very nowadays hard to understand and predict how you need to approach content nowadays in order not to lose your job, because obviously, right, ChatGPT can do a good job. Well, I mean, like, whenever just, you know, you don't really, because you have the mode of deep search, right? It's quite
right.
expensive one. We have a paid account and we only have a few, I think, deep search kind of, right, searches.
Hmm.
And if you want to go, right, more with this, deep search mode, you need to pay, and that is quite expensive. But this deep search does a very good job, right? Then for
Hmm.
sure, if you just use, ChatGPT, like, normal mode, I would say, it still does not such a bad job, in my opinion, because if you go on like on Upwork, right,
Mm-hmm.
and hire there someone for $100, most probably is going to be the same or even, normally worse, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then the question is, right, that you really need to be a good copywriter. And, I think a good copywriter is the one that has a very broad skill set and having a very clear mind, logical thinking, and an analytical mind. So it's not really about writing, right? Well, for sure, writing is also important, but especially if we talk about something advanced, right? And I think that's where we need a copywriter, because the rest can be, more or less covered by ChatGPT, right? So if you go into advanced topics, right, that require decent copy, then you really need to have all these skills, right? And then write something about, copywriting, creative writing, or whatever it is on top of that, but not other way around.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, that subject matter expertise that can't be supplanted by AI LLMs at this point, at least. And I think that, is a great way to end, because it leaves you on a hopeful note, despite all the changes coming because of AI. There's still, I think, as you've seen probably better than most, having that human touch is essential, and it's really just finding what you're good at and really tapping into that expertise that only you have, that can never be replicated by AI. So,
Definitely.
Alexandra, thank you so much for being here today. I did want to give you an opportunity to plug, where can people find you? Where should they connect with you?
Yeah, well, I think that will be LinkedIn, right? I'm quite active there, so you can always come and follow and just check out, right? I do write a lot on LinkedIn regularly, so sometimes good jokes, sometimes bad jokes, sometimes something useful. So whatever everyone can find something useful there.
And also, we'll make sure to link out to Digital Olympus and how people can join the Slack community if they're interested. And yeah, thank you again for your time, and wishing you lots of success going forward. And thank you to our listeners. Thanks for subscribing, following us, giving us a listen on every episode. And we'll talk to you next episode. Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Smart Route Podcast. Share your favorite takeaways with us on Twitter at Smart Route Pod. Smart Route is brought to you by Call Tracking Metrics, and you can find more at calltrackingmetrics.com/podcast. Follow along for ideas and conversations that will inspire your own business path forward. Speaking of smart paths, are your marketing, sales, and service teams on the same page? In today's remote world, it's easy to get disconnected. Call Tracking Metrics can help. We empower smart marketing teams to determine the best route for campaigns by showing exactly which ad campaigns are driving conversations that convert. Operational teams can use that data to automate call flows and power contact center success. Visit calltrackingmetrics.com to see why more than 100,000 customers around the globe trust Call Tracking Metrics to manage communications for their marketing, sales, and service teams.